Linda's story time. Today I'm going to tell you a story from John 21. I call this Breakfast on the Beach. I'm going to be one of the disciples. I was fed up. I didn't know what to do with myself. I hated this waiting game, hanging around, not knowing what we should do next, not knowing what my purpose was. So I turned to the others as we were gathered around one day and I said, "I'm going fishing." They surprised me because they turned around and said, "We'll come with you." Okay then, I said, "Come on then." So we got ourselves ready and decided to go that night. Sorted out all the boats and, the boat. And off we went. It was so good to get back out on that water. Just being there. But we didn't have a good night's fish. It was rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. We didn't catch a thing. And just as we were nearing shore though, we saw this person standing on the beach. And he shouted out, "Have you caught anything, lads?" To which we shouted back, "No, not a thing." He then said, "Throw your nets on the other side." We did as he said, because you see, sometimes if someone is standing on the beach looking across, they can see different shadows in the water to what we can. So we did as he said. We threw the nets on the other side. And we went to pull the net back in. Just two of us. But we had to get the others. It was so heavy. I couldn't believe it. After having such a rubbish night fishing, and then just as the sun is coming up, we find we catch loads. I then stood on the deck looking at this chap standing on the beach, and my friend said to me, "Hey, Peter, isn't that Jesus? Isn't that the Lord?" Without hesitation, because that's me, diving in quickly without thinking, I threw my top on and I was in that water in a second, swimming to the shore. And it was him. He greeted me and I greeted him. Oh, it was so good to see him. So good to see him. I'd had something on my mind that had been bothering me and I just needed to see him. As we stood there together, the others came in behind me with the boat and the fish. But Jesus had made us breakfast. There was already bread and fish ready for us. And he said, though, "Bring some more fish." And we did. We grabbed some more fish. And he cooked it on the fire for us. We all sat round the fire together, talking, sharing with one another. He broke the bread and passed it round to us. Oh, it was so good to be with him. So good. After we'd finished eating and chatting, he turned to me and he said, "Peter, come over here a minute. Let me have a chat with you." And we went just away from the others, just a little distance. And he surprised me. He said, Peter, do you love me?" "You know I love you, Lord." And he said, "Then feed my lambs." But then he said it again, "Peter, do you love me?" And again I said, Lord, you know I love you. "Then take care of my sheep." Then a third time he had to say to me, "Do you love me, Peter?" And a third time I responded, "Lord, you know that I love you." I do love you. And he said, feed my sheep. We talked for a little bit longer and then headed back to the others. We said goodbye and headed home. I pondered for the rest of the day what he'd said. My mind now felt clear. He now knew I loved him. You see, I'd denied him 3 times. Denied knowing him 3 times. But now he knew I loved him. But also, I now knew my next step. I had a purpose.